Right lads, today we've got to do the not fun stuff. If you're not familiar, and the title and thumbnail didn't clue you in, Ncuti did an interview and people are not happy. Long story short, in this interview with BBC journalist Laura Kunsberg, he gives details on why he left the show, and people don't fully believe him. Ncuti basically goes along the classic lines of, "Oh, my knees were hurting. It was my time. I'm done." Now, first of all, the best thing for me to do in this kind of video is stamp my flag in the mast and tell you what I think about the interview. But the real thing we need to digest is other people's reactions to this news and why I think some people have really taken the wrong approach. Let me make one thing personally clear. I do and don't believe Ncuti. One of the reasons he joked about was protecting his knees, which I think is a little bit tongue-in-cheek and I don't believe is the full reason. But, on the other hand, both Matt and Peter had massive problems with their knees. I think Matt literally had to get knee surgery. So people dismissing that claim out of hand, I do not think is fair to Ncuti. But let's be honest, I do probably think there are other reasons at play, and my personal opinion, maybe it's not my place to speculate, but my personal opinion, yes, it probably is the messing about of Disney that was the reason why Ncuti's regenerating. I mean, we know there are reshoots early this year, and it's a change to the original plan, and it's likely because Ncuti doesn't want to, have this hanging over his head for a couple of years and then go back to filming. Fair enough, the man wants to move forward. But people have reacted to this interview in such weird ways. Firstly, as I mentioned, people having a go at Ncuti for his age and his knees and how that shouldn't be a reason. Like, people have literally been showing pictures of Ncuti and going, "Oh yeah, in this physically athletic body, yeah, your knees can't work, pull the other one." Which, personally, I think is really diminishing of the really hard work Ncuti put on Doctor Who, and it just completely implies that there is no strain to playing the role. Ncuti literally says in the interview, it is a physically, emotionally demanding part, and I think people are completely forgetting that. If that was just his purely valid reason, again, as I've said, I don't believe that is fully the case, but if that was to be his reason, who are we as fans to judge him for that? By the way, I do keep mentioning the interview. It is very readily available on YouTube and Twitter. If you want to go search out, the section is about a minute long in terms of what's relevant. I think a lot of my points in this video will come back to the same central point. Ncuti was the main actor, a beloved actor in a show that we all love. I personally think the number one priority is to respect him and respect his wishes. And we will definitely come back to that. Because the conversation this keeps coming back to is Ncuti should be calling out Disney. Ncuti should be doing this and doing that. Firstly, as I've said, that is pure speculation. I believe, if I was to speculate, I would probably say, yes, it is the case that the Disney meddling hasn't helped anyone. But to say that as fact is just incorrect. It's not a fact, it is speculation. But people are really, really manipulating and twisting this situation in a way that I just think is categorically incorrect. And this is where we get into, some weirdly serious stuff that, I don't enjoy making these videos, but I think in this circumstance, defending Ncuti, for me, with someone with a little bit of a platform, I'm not pretending I have a massive platform in the slightest, but someone who has a little bit of a platform, this feels like the right thing for me to do. People are saying that, if Ncuti feels that Disney has done him wrong, he has a moral right to go and attack Disney and be real with the reasons why he is leaving the show. And from a fan perspective, I understand that. We as fans all want clarity. We want clarity over the future of the show. And yes, we probably do want clarity over why Ncuti left. And I think in 10, 20, 30 years, there is a likely chance that we will get that. And that's my first point. It is definitely too soon to demand clarity for it. Probably too soon for Ncuti, probably too soon for the show. The fandom is so raw and, not in a good place, and I personally don't think The fandom needs a big negative interview, ripping people apart and causing even more negative. I don't think that's what anyone needs. But some fans have twisted this even further and making it sound like, you know, Ncuti has a moral obligation and it's Ncuti's right to go and attack these people, attack Disney. And yes, I agree, Ncuti has that right. And if Ncuti wants to go and do that, I am supportive of him. I will always be supportive of the singular attacking the multiple, the corporation, Disney in this case, if they want to and they feel justified in doing that. First of all, let's be clear, if Ncuti really wanted to do that, he has the right to do that, and he could do it. First of all, let's be clear, if Ncuti really wanted to do that, and that was, you know, the thing that he really wanted to do, and had done it, I think everyone would support him in that, because that is what Ncuti wants to do. But Ncuti didn't do that, so it's unfair to suddenly claim the fact that Disney are definitely the problem, and Disney are definitely the reason why we shouldn't be doing it. Like, no, Ncuti just didn't decide to call them out in that moment. And what you have to understand is that Ncuti cannot just go around calling out big studios. We, as regular people, for want of a better word, if our employer mistreats us, we can go and call them out. However, and it is unfortunate, but we are being real in this scenario. You know, we're not talking about a world of if, buts and maybes. We are talking about the world in which we live. Ncuti, unless he feels really passionate, cannot do that. And no, I'm not talking about, you know, if illegal things have gone place, you know, that any form of SA, anything like that. Of course, Ncuti legally and morally has a right to call that out. Probably an obligation. But let's face it, and this is also why I think things are slightly being blown out of proportion, nothing illegal has taken place here, nothing particularly immoral, just annoying business shtick between the BBC and Disney, and that is speculation, but likely the reason Ncuti left. But if Ncuti goes and calls out Disney and makes a big palaver, both Disney will not rehire him because he has made a public song and dance about the situation. But any other studio, whether they're making TV or film, probably looks at Ncuti and goes, right, well, he caused a big drama for them, so he might cause a big drama for us, so, like, should we, like, go with someone else? It's why I make statements such as, yes, Ncuti is PR trained, because he's got his career that, fair enough, he wants to protect, so he gets a PR manager to help him work out what questions he should answer, how he should answer questions. Yes, his answers do feel slightly rehearsed, but that's okay, because Ncuti is doing what feels best for Ncuti. As Doctor Who fans, unless we feel that the Doctor Who actors are doing something immoral, like if someone was to call out Peter Davison for sometimes his slightly weird comments about the modern era of the show and some of his thoughts about Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, like, yeah, fair enough, because he isn't supporting the show. I personally quite like Peter Davison, but yeah, can fully admit he's made some weird comments in the past. But as fans of the show, it's our job to support these Doctor actors through most things, and we are not being supportive of Ncuti and his choices. What some Doctor Who fans are implying is, no, Ncuti, you must 100% go and fight this. This is your moral obligation. You must do this. You must stand up to the big corporation. Yes, in the imaginary world, we'd probably all like him to, because it would clear some things up for us. But Ncuti has a perfect right not to do that, and we as Doctor Who fans should support him for making the decision he wants to make in the real world that we live in. I think one of the slight problems here is that Doctor Who fans have a lot of anger, some of it semi-deserved, some of it not deserved. I mean, I don't think anyone should have too much anger over a silly police box show. But I think some people are translating their anger over the show and their anger over Ncuti leaving and translating that into what ends up boiling down into just hatred being sent towards Ncuti Gatwa. It's not fair, it's not deserved. Think about what you're saying before you put it online. thank you very much for watching this annoyingly serious video. Drop me a subscribe if you've enjoyed, but most of the time we do the fun, we do the silly stuff, so go watch another video. Thank you very much.